Oh boy, we've done it again. We've got a live stream for you. Good morning, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast, and we have a cornucopia of content. I got my koozie, spill tea, not beer. Going to be discussing all of the movings and shakings of the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni world, plus so much more. We're going to get into this story with Taylor Swift, which quite frankly, I don't get. I think it's a lot of like TMZ started a fire. Now they're trying to put it out. But hey, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on a lot of this. I'm sure you won't agree with everything I have to say. For those that are new, welcome to the new 30,000 people. Round of applause for them, everybody. Unbelievable. We appreciate you here. I do things a little bit differently than some channels, and I have a zero tolerance policy for fighting in the comment section. I treat it as my living room. You can talk back and forth, but any personal insults, any going after someone or sort of repeated kind of commentary back and forth, it's like, all right, get your point across, but then leave the point. So my moderators know we'll just be light timeouts for people if you kind of forget those rules. It's in order to keep the whole thing working, you know? I like to keep this as a community that people actually feel inspired to be a part of. So we talk about issues that might be toxic. We don't stoop to that level. We don't do it. Not here, not now. So anyhow, I'm going to cover Taylor Swift, Blake Lively. We're also going to talk about some new workings in the Bachelor Clayton Echard case, which hang on for that. If you don't know about it, you'll be glad I told you about it for those new folks out there. And we're going to talk about some other things going on in the world. I'll play a clip from Popcorn Planet, Andy. And there's been so much content. So on the morning episode, I shared a TikToker who claims, and maybe I got to share this again. Let me see if I can pull it up. There's a TikToker who claims that he's been silenced by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Now, by all means, I'm sure they wish they could silence people, but I don't know if they have that ability to do that. So let's where's his original page? That's a problem with TikTok. There's just so many. Is it Be Better Company? Yeah, this is him. 1.4 million followers. So I'm going to share with you. He was upset that part 6 was taken down, but when I got to it, part 6 was up. And here is his. Look at that, 3.7 million views. He's saying he's going to be suing Blake Lively. Let's play this real quick while we wait for people to join the channel. And also hit the like button, leave a comment, and let me know where you're coming from. Let's find out wherever. I know we have people all over the world, but it's a good way to get new viewers to the channel to just kind of help the algorithm out.
If you guys are watching this right now, I'd like to let you know that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have successfully gotten a video I posted last night taken down. More specifically, they got it banned in the United States because that's where they have their connections with TikTok US. You might be wondering, how do I know it was them? Because 2 weeks ago, someone from TikTok had notified me that their team had reported my account for misinformation and attempted to get my account deleted.
So what I would like to see is, how do we know Blake Lively's team reported him for misinformation? I want to see that evidence. I'm not saying he's a liar. I believe him. I just want to see that evidence because he's saying he's going to sue Blake. I mean, you got to prove these things.
I've never actually broken any TikTok rules and have been very fair in my reporting. They were unable to do so. So you might be wondering, what exactly was it about the video posted last night specifically that was so explosive they needed to get it scrubbed from the internet in just a few hours? And the answer to that is, it's the first time I ever spoke to an exclusive inside source who told me something about the legal battle that clearly Blake and Ryan so desperately do not want the public to know. Otherwise, why are they attempting to censor me?
So this to me feels like a little bit of a Barbra Streisand effect, which is Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. If they did silence him, it would create the story. It would make the story that much more, I don't know, visible. So that's why I just, my sort of BS meter doesn't believe it. But I do believe everyone thinks like, oh, if a video gets taken down, there's some deep conspiracy. TikTok takes videos down all the time. It's got such a random automated. There's nobody at TikTok going, we're going to watch this guy's video and scrub it. No. And I don't think there's a phone line where Blake can call and go, hey, can you get this thing removed? And they're going to go, we're uploading 80,000 videos per second. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I don't buy it, but I believe he believes it.
Censoring people like me. So I'm officially seeking legal representation to sue Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds myself for infringing on my freedom of speech. And if TikTok does not reinstate this video in the next 12 hours, I will be adding them to the lawsuit as well.
Boom! And TikTok did reinstate the video because it's right here. Okay, it's a long video. It's 10 minutes long. So to be quite honest, I don't even know what part of the video Belinda said came from the suing video. So look, I get it. You know, whenever like we feel, whenever we feel martyred, we want to sort of, speak our mind. I get it. I don't blame the guy whatsoever. He seems like a nice dude, and he seems like he's been doing good coverage. So go give him a follow and all of that. But the video's back up. Does that mean he's not going to sue Blake Lively? I have no idea. So this TMZ article, again, I know Andy covered it on Popcorn Planet. I know other people have covered it. I've covered the initial story. But this story about Blake Lively includes 0 sources. So as we reported, there was a critical meeting at Blake and Ryan's house, the New York penthouse, with Justin showed up as Blake was leaving. There's nothing new to this story, and yet TMZ published this story. Then they made a video about the story that they published. Again, we call this starting a fire just to put it out. So I don't know what's going on there. By the way, shout out to Diana checking in from Sweden. Thank you so much. And I saw we have someone here from France. Bonjour, ça va? Ça va bien? Vendredi? Is it vendredi? Bonne journée à vous. Si tu veux, je peux... I can parler seulement en français. Pas très bien. Mon français, c'est pas très bien. Okay, so I just had a brain freeze trying to speak French. That's what that was. Okay. Anyhow, so hey, India's in the house. Hello, India. Ratuja from India. Good to see you. All right. So anyway, let's listen to a few things of what he had to say. I'm going to share what Popcorn Planet had to say, and we'll get into a few other topics. Okay, sound good? So hang out, relax. We'll be here for the hour. Again, we're at 928 people in the chat, which is great. Let's try to get that up to like 3,000. Why don't we? We have 25,000 new people. It's a Friday. We're hanging out. And okay, let's just play a few clips of this and see if there's anything new. And again, I know, I get it. We cover everything. Every day there's a new story coming out, but there's just no source attached to this story. And in fact, the only thing they have is a well-connected source close to Taylor tells TMZ, Taylor came to Blake's apartment. Okay, that was all information we already had. The source says Justin was about to leave after the 2-hour meeting as Taylor walked in. We already knew all that. The source says Taylor believes Blake timed the meeting with Justin so Taylor would arrive before he left, and he is baffled by... And is baffled by Blake later characterizing her as her dragon. The source adds, it's weird to say that about a friend. All right, so that's what they have. And again, people in the comment section have said, I doubt Taylor's really distancing herself from Blake. It's probably public opinion. Look, it's not like she's released a statement. She hasn't given any opinion. Here's the thing about Taylor Swift, and this might piss some people off. I like Taylor Swift. I think she tries her best. I think it must be so hard to be the center of so many worlds. Everything she says pisses people off. Whether she has a political opinion, no matter what she says or does, it's going to piss people off because she's that big. And she sells stadiums out across the world. I think she's super charitable. The only real thing you could say about her is the jet fuel issue, but to be quite honest, I don't even think she was in the top 10 of the issues of people who have jet fuel. What is she supposed to do? Fly Southwest? You wanted to get on Spirit Airlines? She couldn't even get through the terminal. Like the FAA, they wouldn't even let her into the airport. She's so big of a star. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Tell the Beatles, yeah, if you could just fly JetBlue, that would help. You know what I mean? It ain't going to happen. All right, let's play a few clips. I'll read your comments online, and we'll discuss this. Here is the boys of TMZ discussing Taylor Swift, the article that they wrote.
Shocking story. There is a rift, and I think that is an understatement of a word, a rift between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Taylor feels like she's been used.
Yeah, used in the middle of Blake Lively's war with Justin Baldoni. And there's certain things that that we know Blake has said about Taylor in reference to that battle that do not sit well with Taylor at all. The big one, dragons.
Yeah. So remember that what Taylor had told Justin was that Blake herself, she said, was Khaleesi, who was the queen in Game of Thrones, and Ryan, her husband, and Taylor were her dragon.
All right, so again, information we already had. ISIS says TMZ is greedy. In the beginning, they were making fun of Justin, and now they are on Justin's side. Look, and by the way, depending on which video of mine people watch, if they hear me say something nice about Blake Lively, oh, you're a Blake Lively, whatever. And it's like, luckily, you guys that are new here have been watching me for a few weeks. I think you kind of get me now, and you understand I'm not going to be played in that type of way. What's so funny to me is when I say something that is objectively true, people will get so upset. Like this. I said, Blake Lively's pretty. And people said, oh my gosh, she's not. She's had work done. Okay. And again, we had this happen in Bachelor Nation when I said Jesse Palmer was attractive. And people were going, no, he's a basic white guy. And I said, walk Jesse Palmer into a bar in Poughkeepsie and tell me the whole bar doesn't turn and look at him and go, that's a good looking man. Walk Blake Lively into a random Trader Joe's in Des Moines, Iowa, and tell me she's not a good-looking person. You're out of your freaking mind. Sure, maybe she's not a supermodel, but she's a good-looking person. She's the lead female in romantic movies because she's attractive. And again, another hill I'll die on. And you have to respect me. You have to, well, you can do whatever you want, but you have to respect this take. I'm going to criticize Blake Lively, but that doesn't mean I'm going to call her a D-list. She got $3 million for this movie, folks. That's an A-list actor. Now, is that Julia Roberts A-list? No. But there, in the scale of actors, there is A-list, names that you know. She's one of them. I'm sorry, I don't budge from that. If you get $3 million to work in a movie for 3 weeks, you're an A-lister. Anyone who's in the $1 million range, multiple $1 million range, you're an A-lister. I'm sorry, I don't change my mind on that. She might not be A-plus lister, but when you're good friends with the biggest pop star in the world, what category do you want me to put her in? I will not be budged on this topic because I read the comments and go, no, she's not. Listen, you gotta be objective here. And she's the name we knew. We didn't collectively know Justin Baldoni. He wasn't an A-lister. He was like a B-lister, B-plus lister, but he wasn't an A-lister. So we can't, Amber Heard is, before Johnny Depp, Amber Heard was at the same level of name recognition as Blake Lively, and I would say she was an A-lister as well.
Her best friend, although I think best friend is now past tense.
Yeah.
So here's the way the stage gets set. You remember there was a big meeting at Blake and Ryan's penthouse in New York City where they were going over a script change with Justin Baldoni. Justin said at the time, remember during all the lawsuits, he said he felt used, that he didn't know he was going to be ambushed with both Ryan there and Taylor Swift there. And we're thinking, oh, well, Blake is saying Taylor was her dragon and she's there, so she got involved and to protect her.
Right.
So we're thinking, wow, Taylor Swift inserted herself in this. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen according to our sources.
No, what happened was more of a happenstance meeting between Taylor and Justin. And Taylor, I'd say happenstance. Taylor.
All right, so I'm going back and forth. There are levels of A-list. Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, that's A-plus list. That I agree with you. I'm not saying that Blake Lively is in that list, but also for the person who says $3 million is not a lot, in a $12 million budget, 25% of the budget went to one person. The budget for florals and set designer and script supervisors and background actors and set design and camera operators, out of that whole budget, 25% went to one person. That's a lot of money.
Thinks it was done intentionally
by Blake. So what happened was there was a 2-hour meeting with Blake, Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds. At the end of the meeting, that was the time Blake told Taylor to come over.
And Taylor had no idea that there was any meeting going on.
No idea at all.
And again, we've known this for like 2 weeks. I don't think TMZ planted this. I don't think this story was seeded by any particular side. I think they just realized the amount of online chatter for this type of conversation. So again, this is all information we already knew. It could be that they have an inside source, but it's not this source that they think they have is information. I mean, we reported this well over a week ago.
That anybody else was going to be there.
And she believes, we're told, that Blake set her up and wanted her to come in when Justin was still there to show Blake's power.
Right.
And so
which is how Justin received it. He said that in his lawsuit.
Which you would understand.
Right.
So Taylor walks in, had never met Justin before, and just basically looks at him, and the only thing she said, we're told, is, good luck on your movie.
I'm looking forward to seeing It Ends With Us. And she was
my apologies. The budget was $25 million, so she was 12.5% of the budget. And no, A-list, B-list, it doesn't matter. It's just one of those funny things to talk about because it's like, but here, like this is the point. The point I'm making is that we can attack the actual issue here, but like we got to live in the same world. Whether you call her an A-lister or a B-lister, Blake Lively is not a soap opera actor. No offense to my friends in the soap world. Blake Lively is a person who doesn't necessarily have to audition for their roles. This is how it works. You get to a certain level, you get invited for a screen test. You don't audition. You don't put yourself on tape as like, hi, I'm Blake Lively and I'd like to submit for the role. No, you do a character read, a chemistry test. You know, that's what they do. And you get offered a rate. Now, I'm in Screen Actors Guild, but the rate for me would be like $900 for 8 hours. That's the base rate. It's really low. And then if the movie gets released, you get paid that rate again. And then residuals. Like, in fact, I've actually got a residual right here. You guys want to see it? Here's a residual. Let's open it right here. This is a residual. I was in a movie called Birdman, and I'm guaranteeing this is a payment. Wait till you see how much it is. Hold on. Well, I'm opening it for the first time. This is from Screen Actors Guild right there. See that? And let's see here. Performer Dave Neal. Wait for this. I'll let you guys see the whole thing. Here it is. 20th Century Fox Film. They've renewed this for video, DVD, internet rentals. And look at that, folks. That is for a principal role in a movie right there. $3.43. So if anyone wants to send me a $3.43 super chat. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. After taxes. There's the check. After taxes right there. There it is. Where is it? There it is, folks. There, don't rob that from me. There's my why don't they just mail me a $2 bill? All right, there it is, folks. So anyhow, neither here nor there.
Saying that merely because she understood she was meeting her friend's boss.
Right.
Because Justin is the director of the movie.
And it was that simple. That's all she said, we're told. And and then Justin left. So she never inserted herself.
Hold on. Someone in the chat is trying to argue that J-Lo isn't an A-lister? Are you serious? I don't know, guys. I think we've got our scales all off here on what an A-lister actually is. And again, I'm the type, having worked in the industry for 12, 15 years at this point, I'm the type that like, if you know somebody's name, I consider that an A-lister. If you can, like Chappell Roan is an A-lister. She's a new A-lister, but she's also, someone was arguing in my last video that Chappell Roan isn't a star. She's not going to be as big as Lady Gaga. I'm sorry. Chappell Roan commanded the biggest audience ever at Lollapalooza. So again, I won't bore those that don't want to be a part of this fun conversation about what an A-lister is. But J-Lo, Jenny from the Block, are you kidding me? If that's not an A-lister, like who is? I'm not saying it's like the most famous person of all time, but if you know somebody's name, put it this way, if somebody can command a rate, and by that I mean a negotiable, like I get paid $8 million per movie. If someone has a number that they get paid, I consider that an A-lister. That being George Clooney, Blake Lively, even Amber Heard. Someone said she's a Z-lister. Well, I mean, maybe now, maybe her career's not going well now, but at the time she was in comic book movies. That to me is like, again, all right, I promise I won't engage anymore with the conversation of what's an A-lister. Oh, Barbara with a $2 matching donation. Take that, Birdman. Take that matching donation from, I'm going to write Barbara's name on this. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. How funny. You guys are fantastic.
This dispute between Blake and Justin over the script, but Blake certainly made it seem that
Thank
way
you,
with
AS.
the text to Justin. And I think, honestly, that text to Justin is saying, look at the power I have.
Right.
I have Taylor Swift.
And we're told, too, that...
I love you guys coming to my bat. Lissa said she sits front row at Fashion Week. She's an A-lister. I agree. I totally agree. Whether you like it or not, audience members, that's an A-lister. Am I an A-lister? No, I am not okay, so now we know for sure the litmus test of an A-lister is someone who doesn't have a YouTube channel as their income.
Taylor, because obviously these text messages became public in the lawsuit that Justin had filed. And when Taylor saw the actual text between Justin and Blake, obviously she saw that Blake referred to her as the dragon. She's Khaleesi. And we're told that Taylor felt that's kind of weird to say about a friend. It's weird to call a friend a dragon. And, Blake tried to say in her text message something like, these two are my dragons. They stand up for me when I can't stand for myself. They're well respected in the industry, and really was playing up, like you said, Harvey, all the power that both her husband and Taylor Swift had. And it seems like that didn't sit well with Taylor.
Oh, no.
So here's the deal. With the Taylor Swift stuff. When I like this saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Blake Lively, at the very least, is deeply insecure. Deeply insecure. People have thrown out cluster B diagnoses, histrionic, all these. I have no idea. I can't go that far. But what I can tell you is this. When Blake Lively was told no, that seems to be the point when something changed. Now, I would love to hear from any of my psychology friends. Shoot me a DM if anyone wants to come in and give their expert opinion on this, because there is something that can happen. There's something that can be very triggering. Now, there's a segment of my audience right now who's not going to want to hear any excuses. You're not going to want to hear any excuses about someone's bad behavior. But what I do on my channel, kind of how I make my living on my channel, is to try to put ourselves in the shoes of the person who might be the bad guy. And if Blake Lively is the bad guy, if we find out there's no evidence of sexual harassment, and if we find out that everything she did was to take over grips of the movie, you got to go, why? And when you think about why, you might think, well, maybe Blake Lively, and again, this doesn't excuse it. There's a difference between explanation and excuse. But if you look at why Blake Lively might have done what she did, and I'll give you I'm going to lean back here and give you my honest thoughts. If Blake Lively feels as though Justin Baldoni doesn't appreciate her creativity, it could open up deep wounds. She's been an A-lister since Gossip Girl, since the 2006 movie Accepted with Justin Long. What a good movie. You got to go watch this movie. It's so good. And she's been known as a pretty face who says words on camera. After a while, that gets old. It's almost like this. I get all of my sort of dopamine and my love from my creative content, my stand-up comedy and what I do, my live performing and things like that. This, to me, doesn't really do it. This isn't like my be-all, end-all. It's not my full dopamine thing. I like talking and relating to people and all of that, and it's a great day job. I really appreciate it. It's been unbelievable. It's helped me buy a home and a car, and literally, I wouldn't have my baby and my family if it wasn't for my YouTube channel, because, I could afford it now in this crazy world of ours. I hit the lottery. With that said, doesn't really provide me that much dopamine like a good stand-up set does, because that's my creative thing. That's my being. And to be a lead actor in a movie where you don't have creative input, you get sick and tired of being told what to do, where to do it, what to say. So you see that slow dance scene, and you see Blake Lively telling Justin Baldoni, hey, you're not really on the spot. We should be over there. And you see her trying to direct, and what she's trying to do is have a little bit of control in her life. she wasn't hired for that. So she doesn't get control over how the scene goes. How it works when you're in a movie is you're going to shoot a scene with someone. It's a scene where I walk into Starbucks and I order this cold brew. Okay, that's the scene. It's pretty straightforward. They're going to do a wide shot, which is a big shot of the outdoor area and me walking through. Then they're going to do a medium shot, which is a 2-shot of me and the barista. Then they're going to do a close-up shot on the barista and a close-up shot on me. They're going to get tighter and tighter. They're going to shoot this about 9 different ways. Then they're going to do an insert shot of me sipping it, maybe a shot of them pouring, all those little tiny insert shots. They might do an over-the-shoulder shot. They might do a shot of me walking out, get that ass. They're going to do this whole thing. Then at the very end, they're going to say, let's do a shot for the actors. And that's their way of saying, actors, you now have a say. That's their way of saying, we'll give you a little bit of control, even if we're not going to use the clip. They already got the cameras on the sticks. They're already recording. And then the actor gets to do the take the way they want to do it. Why do they do that? Because people hate being a puppet. They hate being a marionette, and they want a little bit of control over their life, control that they otherwise don't really have. When you're an actor, even an A-list actor, you're still, operating under the demands of all of the people that are making more money than you are. And yes, as much as we like to think they're the rich and the famous, the real rich and the famous are the producers and the sort of financiers, right? So she just wants a little bit of a say. She doesn't get it, and it immediately triggers this whole thing where she doesn't feel valued. What happens in a relationship when you don't feel valued? You come for somebody's throat. How dare you not value me? I'm Khaleesi, for F's sake. So I understand what I believe to be the triggers that led to her feeling like, F this guy. And she might even, and by the way, it doesn't even mean it's conscious. This could be a blind thing she's doing where she could actually believe he crossed the line. She goes home. How dare this guy? I know, I've been on Gossip Girl. I've worked on Accepted. I'm travel hood of the sister pants or whatever the hell it's called. I know exactly what I'm doing. How dare he? He doesn't know how to, he's even kissing me after the scene's over. He doesn't even know how to do this. The person's not there. The vag flap they glued to me is all off. They are naked. His best friend's delivering the baby. All these things are so messed up. I swear this is not the way it should be done. And then she rewrites the story to frame her as the victim. And look, it's kind of obvious to see from what we've put together that could be the story. Also, maybe she got sexually harassed. You have to, until we know for sure, you have to have that as an option, even if you don't choose that option. It's an A, B, C, D, it's a multiple choice. That is an option. Maybe she got sexually harassed and she didn't tell anybody about it, even her husband and all these things. And then months later, she's like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Maybe that happened. I don't believe it, but maybe it happened. And I think we have to be fair and keep that option on the table. So Carrie B with $2 says, the hamster wheel, Dave, you're my A-lister comic and YouTuber. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. We got a couple of super chats. Marilyn with $5 says, go get a Starbucks drink on this fun Friday, and you are excellent YouTube coverage. Keep up the great work, Dave. Oh my gosh, you guys are so kind here. Book Lover with $10 says, love your coverage and nuanced take on everything. Also, there's an interesting video on WME you might like by Steph with Dedeets. I'll check that out. Thank you so much. Or if someone could DM me that link, but I'll check that out. Thank you guys all so much for those super chats. How funny. I mean, look, people aren't inherently evil unless you're like a pure psychopath, which is pretty rare. A lot of the issues that come up, like Blake Lively is probably a good friend to Taylor Swift. She's probably a good wife to Ryan Reynolds. But she may have that personality type, which tends to lead its way to narcissism in the Hollywood industry. That is one of those, you cross me, I will bury you. So again, it's easy to say, maybe she's a diva. Sure, that's easy to say. But if you want to look into what is a diva in part could be somebody who is very demanding because they don't have control over the other aspects of the movie. We just got a downvote for saying that. That's totally fine. You can have that opinion. But I think what's more interesting than just calling somebody a diva is explaining what begets a diva. Where does that come from? And again, I think in most cases, it's a lack of control, exerting control. You might see somebody that's yelling at their assistant. Yeah, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. I'd like to think that I'd be above all of that type of stuff. But in the end, that's a result of their own anxieties. And anxiety comes from lack of control. It comes from lack of control in the environment that you're in and a fear of what might come from that lack of control. Carrie with $2 super chat. I want my $2. Better off dead. Thank you so much. And the cat lady with a $5 super chat. She was fully dressed during that scene. Her complaint intentionally misconstrued that with a footnote. Well, we don't know. To be quite honest, I agree with you. But until, and this is where we probably need to be, until we see that scene, which it'll probably be in the court, if this thing goes to trial, it would be in the video. Until we see that scene, it's still a he said, she said. She could have been fully dressed, but let's be fair. If she's in a scene where she's delivering a baby, there is at least implied nudity. They're at least going to show the side of the leg or whatever. So whether she was fully dressed or not, we don't know for sure. We have to be fair. Look, I'm not blaming anyone else who covers this, but my style's different. My style's a little different than some people like. I didn't rush to this story because I knew this TMZ story was kind of like, it was a bunch of, it's just a bunch of sugar, right? It's just a bunch of empty calories.
No, we know it didn't sit well.
And it got worse since then.
Because then Taylor started to ask questions, we're told, and she's found out that Blake, according to our sources, has been name-dropping Taylor to kind of, flex.
Yeah, it's a flex. And by the way, this is not the first time I've been accused of being too understanding. Sunshine, beautiful name, says you're too understanding, Dave. Yes, people hurt people, but they're still hurting people. Again, explaining is not excusing. Absolutely. If all of these claims are true, which at this point I believe them to be. And by the way, how hilarious that as I explain this, and I understand, you get downvotes for, and this will happen. It's called audience capture, right? I'm not going to placate myself to the 4 downvotes and not share the nuance of the situation, which is everyone does try the best with the information they have. That information can be flawed, short-sighted, based on fear, all these other issues. But Blake Lively probably didn't sit there one day and go, I'm going to ruin this guy's life for no reason. Now, is that the collateral damage that ends up getting done here? Probably, but where does it come from? That's way more interesting to me than just going, Blake, B-lister, bad. Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night. But when we watch these things as an audience, we tend to want to believe we're better than the other person. And part of that is recognizing how bad the other person is. Blake Lively, if this is true, did a very bad thing. The question is, does she feel justified? And if she does feel justified, why? Why does she feel justified? I find that way more interesting than just saying, you know what, she's a diva who did something bad.
Sort of leveraging Taylor, in specifically in one instance, telling an actress that she had been cast by Taylor. That, the way it's described to us is that Blake said to this actress, oh, Taylor is the one who wants you in this role. And we're told that Taylor had nothing to do with casting anybody.
So there's just no question that this relationship is now fractured. And remember, Taylor is the godmother to one of Blake and Ryan's kids.
Right.
So this relationship, the two of them were best friends. I mean, we saw them going out to dinner all the time. They were joined at the hip. They
were at the Super Bowl together last year.
That's right. Don't expect that this year.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. That's a really good point. Who will Taylor have in her booth this year? I don't expect it to be Blake Lively. If it is Blake Lively, we'll know on Sunday. We'll be covering this. Thank you so much, Chris, for the $2. Dave is a sound diva super chat. Oh, I'm a huge sound diva. Big time. And look, someone says, Maria said, why are you trying to justify Blake Lively's actions? I just can't anymore. I can't with those types of comments. I think I'm doing a pretty good job of articulating and prosecuting what we're trying to do here, which is when you cover this, you want to look at both sides so that you can find out which side you agree with. And it's almost like showing your math. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I'm going to stop sort of addressing the people that don't understand what we're doing here. But I do appreciate you watching. AS says, what husband would allow his wife to go back on set to film the very intimate scenes with a perpetrator after she had this 30 list of sexual harassment complaints? I agree with you. These are the questions that are going to be very hard for her to answer. And look, the truth is that we're probably not going to get this thing to trial. And that's what makes it so complicated, because if this is not going to go to trial, how is this thing going to end? I'd love to know your thoughts right now. I don't believe it's going to go to trial. I believe this is a game of chicken where two people are going to run at each other as fast and hard as they can. And we saw that with Brian Friedman. He said, Brian Friedman, let me know. I want to depose her today. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen. But that is him saying, come on, put me in. Let's go. Let's do this. Now, how much of that confidence is because they have all of the information versus like they got a hunch? And I believe Justin's side has a lot of good information. We've seen a lot, but there's still also a lot of information that's left up to our opinions, whether it be the voice note or the slow dance. In my opinion on the slow dance, there wasn't any sexual harassment. But again, that would also, like, you would have to have all of the context of what led up to that moment and what happened after that. So if there was ever a sort of complaint you could make that's below sexual harassment, and on the level of, well, he gave me the ick. It almost seems like Blake Lively, if anything, could be in the world where she says, oh, he gave me the ick, which again is not illegal. But to claim that's sexual harassment, especially in a world like this, that ends somebody's career. You have to, like, that's what it has to be. And, the point that Ryan Reynolds would have let his wife back on set. Yeah, if there was sexual harassment, you could imagine that she would want to take the film from him right then and there, not afterwards. And you go, well, that would be so tough. They would have lost the financing. That 12 or 25 million, whatever it is, that's kind of a drop in the bucket to Ryan Reynolds. I mean, look, now they're suing for hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think if there was clear-cut sexual harassment, like he comes on to her in the dressing room when they weren't even rehearsing the scene or something like that, I would say that is a case where she would have undeniable evidence to say, stop the film, replace this actor, I'm not working with him, give me the rights to the thing. I think that would be fair in the moment. This revisionary history, though, sadly, is not the type of thing that really sells me on her doing it because she was harassed.
I don't think so. Though I will say the godmother part means that maybe there's a chance that they can or they will repair it just for the sake of the kid.
But there's no question
right
based
now,
on the people we're talking with. And let me just say, people we're talking with know.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. And Taylor Swift is unhappy. Again, an understatement that she has been inserted into this. And by the way,
and kind of used.
And not kind of.
Yeah.
Based on
she feels.
She feels totally used. And, I think one of the things that made all of this surface, we did a podcast. We have a new podcast, me and Mark Garagos, called Two Angry Men. And it dropped yesterday, and we interviewed Brian Friedman, Justin's lawyer, and I was grilling him on whether he was going to depose Taylor.
He was so good. How good was Brian Friedman? In that interview, he's just like, he knows he has all the cards. Brian Friedman's a really good lawyer. You know why? He's a bulldog who doesn't have to show his teeth. And by that, I mean, how fearless he is to go up against WME. He goes up against literally the biggest people in Hollywood that other lawyers won't touch. And he does it going like, and that's why, and I called this weeks ago, I knew the second Brian Friedman was representing Justin Baldoni, I was like, damn, I don't think Brian Friedman does this. A lawsuit that could be years long. I don't think he does this if he doesn't think he's on the winning side. Hey, $5 Canadian, thank you so much here. I reserve my right to change my mind if Blake provides decent evidence. It's unlikely, but I believe in fairness. I completely agree with you. Listen, I've said this all along. I got no allegiance to Justin Baldoni. If it turns out that Justin Baldoni, if the ring, I always use this like ring camera footage. Say Blake Lively logs into her old account and finds the ring camera footage of Justin Baldoni grabbing her buttocks from behind. In the trailer or in the alleyway between the trailer and the studio. And boom, done. Case closed. It's over. That means she didn't defame him. Everything she said was true, and all of the absolutely. If that comes out. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen anything resembling that. And knowing full well that this case is probably not going to go to trial, And I say that because it is really bad for Blake and Ryan. In fact, they would probably apologize, then have this go to trial. But with all of that said and done, I don't know why they wouldn't have released more evidence if they had it. If they had more smoking gun evidence, they would have released it. Now, the interesting thing here, someone has floated this theory by, which I don't know if anyone else has talked about. Someone had floated this theory by. Could it be that the PR person that had the information and crossed Justin Baldoni, could it be, I think it was Sloan, right? Could it be that that person cherry-picked the stuff that they gave Blake Lively, making Blake Lively think they had a better case than they did? So then when Blake Lively sues, they didn't realize the emoji was redacted and all of that. If that's true, I would expect Blake Lively to sue that PR person to say, hey, they didn't give me all the information. And again, I don't know if that's the case, but this thing happens where when you think you got the right side of the story, we see this all the time with journalists. When you think you have a scoop, it's so easy to get duped because you get excited and the side of your brain that deals with like rational thought, gone, done. And you no longer think rationally. Not that she was thinking that in the first place. So Blake Lively might think, hey, I got the dagger. I got everything I need. And that's the decision to go public. And then obviously we find out afterwards, well, it was lacking context. It was missing all this. Now, you might say, Dave, you're being way too generous. Well, maybe Blake Lively was in on the, redacted emoji and all of the other things. Yeah, maybe. But if Blake Lively ever can prove that Sloan gave her partial information, that's her out. And we'll have to see how it plays out. And for the 6 downvotes, we'll have to see in a few weeks or in a month or two if Blake ends up playing that side of the story, and then we can go back to this timestamp and I can go, see, there you go. It's an option. And, some people don't want to hear options. They just want to go, Blake, bad. Yeah, maybe. Probably. Sounds like it. But I will not be captured by the audience. You've earned that respect from me, folks, that I will not be captured by any mobs. We will continue to try to see this from as many angles as we can. Linda says if there was Ring camera video, wouldn't they have revealed it? I completely agree. That's why I said maybe this footage falls from the sky. Maybe they didn't know they had it. I don't expect that to happen, but that's what would have to happen in order for my opinion to be changed. Sydney says, hey, Dave, your diplomacy is appreciated. Here's another theory that isn't being spoken about. Blake Lively's defense, postpartum psychosis. You know what? Actually, Sydney, so regarding postpartum, and again, I don't know too much about the topic, but I do know this. I did have a family member who had postpartum psychosis, and I think what's more likely is postpartum anxiety. And I'll tell you why. When it comes to having grace, nobody in this chat of 2,652 people, including me, 2,653 people, my guess is not one of us has been in a movie that involved intimacy after having our 4th baby. So with that said, and I have talked about this, I do think one of the scenarios that Blake could use as her sort of like get out of jail, pull the parachute cord here, is claiming, hey, I am wrong. The way I looked at this whole situation is wrong. I'm going to therapy to address why I could have seen this the wrong way. My brain has been foggy. I am not thinking clearly. My hormones are all off. I think my audience right now is probably 90% women. I think we can all agree that, first of all, the female body is a beautiful miracle, the way it can give birth and spawn a child. I mean, what the hell's going on there? Delivering my baby 9 months ago yesterday, delivering my baby, I caught it, very slippery, by the way. I could not believe what is capable. I mean, the man, we just get to go in there and do the fun part. You know what I mean? We go in there, we have the fun part. And then all of a sudden a woman bakes a baby for 9 months. It's absolutely insane. And of course, your hormones are all off, and postpartum psychosis does exist. Postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety are super common, to the point where everyone who's having a baby should be absolutely on the lookout for all of the things that might lead to that. I mean, huge. My biggest concern after having the baby was, how do I feed my wife all of the best, most nutritious food, give her as much sleep as she could possibly get, and do everything to minimize that from happening? Because we live in a world that I think, separates us from community, which causes depression. We live in a world where we separate ourselves. Like, this isn't the old times where, you'd have 15 women all sitting around the fire, holding their babies, talking about how tough, we live in a very isolated world. And my wife and I just moved to a new part of the country. We don't have any friends and all these other issues that I have to remember on the hour to go check in on her. Blake Lively might not have that support system, might be in a postpartum anxiety situation. I mean, I'm no person to diagnose that, but it's absolutely something worth considering here. And and by the way, I don't lose faith in my audience when they push back on this. I'm so steadfast on my beliefs that we live in a kind world. And I just remind people out there, it's up to you to decide, do I live in a kind world or do I live in an unkind world? Is this a friendly universe? Now, you can find me any moment of any day an unkind story. If it bleeds, it leads. You can do that all day long. And that's what you choose. You're going to be proven correct no matter which thing you believe. I don't think most people lie. I think most people tell the truth. But when lies do happen, they happen in situations where there's a lot to gain. We see this where most women are not going to accuse a guy of something he didn't do but when it does happen, it's athletes, it's rock stars, it's situations where it's almost like that person's clout, that star power attracts the type of person that would lie, that 1% or 0.1%. So again, I still live in that world where this is rare and we only discuss it because this is it's big news, So anyhow, that's where I live. You may disagree. Let's just finish this quick clip here, and then I'm going to get into something very interesting.
Because the way it had been described, it certainly seemed like Taylor was involved.
That's right. That's right. And he was kind of cagey about it because
Thanks, Maria.
she was kind of the ace in the hole. Mm-hmm. But now it looks like this whole thing was a sham. That Blake...
And by the way, AS says she was on set 3 months after giving birth. Too soon. I mean, I totally agree. I'm a full... take a year off. I'm a full, anyone who has to go back to work 3 months or 3 weeks, it really bums me out to think that that's the world we live in.
May have kind of built up.
Yeah.
And I do not see that friendship lasting, frankly.
Hi, I'm Ilva from Latvia. I have to say that I'm really not buying it. Taylor is smart and her team really is also smart. So I think she's kind of just staying behind. She doesn't want to be in this drama, but they are close friends and her music is in the movie.
Katarina said, it's not an excuse to falsely accuse someone of sexual harassment. Sorry, you don't have to apologize. You're just mischaracterizing what I said. I appreciate the comment. I have not said in one way or another that this is an excuse. We're just explaining what might have happened. I just don't live in a world where someone wakes up one day and says, I'm going to wreak havoc on another person. Usually there's a sort of pathway that leads to that. It doesn't make them innocent of anything. You know what's so interesting here? Speaking of being innocent, guys, I'm going to ask you so much to listen to what I'm about to tell you. I've been involved in the craziest story the last almost 2 years. If you guys don't know, I've covered Bachelor Nation, and a lead of the Bachelor Nation, his name was Clayton Echard. He was accused of being the father of someone's unborn twins. Now, hold on a second. This is super fascinating. Thanks to you guys, we were able to expose a gigantic con. You want to talk about somebody, I don't say this often, but when you want to talk about someone who could have psychopathic tendencies, you're about to see it. So this is no Blake Lively. You're about to see something insane. Bachelor Clayton Echard's ex, Fling, demands he take a paternity test in court case after she becomes pregnant with twins. So this lady accused Clayton of being the father of her twins. But as we find out, she accused multiple men before that, and she just got her restraining order updated. Now, you think I have fair coverage? You guys trust me? She called the FBI on me. She called the Attorney General on me. She tried to get a restraining order on me. She tried to sue me for over 100, or threatened to sue me for $120 million. And she sued me for harassment. So this is like legitimate stuff, and it's still ongoing. This is the lady in court, Laura Owens, where she wore a fake baby bump. She stood up for the whole meeting. How many of my audience have had babies? How many would be 6, 7 months pregnant and stand up for an hour and a half for no reason? So here she is standing up, adjusting her fake belly.
But she was shifting her belly around, moving it.
No, shut up.
She had a prosthetic. Yeah.
What?
And so she's shifting it and moving it in a frame so the judge can see it. Like, I'm pregnant. Look at me. And so
she's moving her belly in frame to show the judge that she's pregnant. Why is this interesting? Well, and by the way, I have to let you guys know, to the 2,500 people in the chat, you have to follow this story. It will be a Netflix documentary. I will be sharing my story in full with this, but we've been covering this. We had to raise money for a lawsuit, seeking justice for all victims of Laura Owens at Clayton's Justice on Twitter. We've also got a subreddit called Justice for Clayton. She's had this shut down multiple times. And there's also an Instagram called Justice for Clayton. They do such a fantastic job explaining all of this. It went to trial. She lost on June 10th of 2024, and now the county prosecutors are investigating her. They made a statement. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office is continuing the process of reviewing the referral from the Superior Court on the case of Laura Owens. So she's denying it. She's filing an appeal. But I wanted to show you some of the evidence. So she just got her restraining order renewed against this man. She sent this text message on the left claiming that she's having twins and that one of them was sick. And as it comes out, when you reverse Google search, we find out that she actually stole this from a mother in Texas who lost one of her babies due to, I think it's called invisible baby syndrome. Do I have that right? And vanishing baby, excuse me. So she stole an ultrasound. Here's the video of me discovering it. Oh, actually, sorry, this is a second ultrasound. She also stole this ultrasound. She denies it. But this is an ultrasound she stole, and users online were able to find out the original ultrasound. So here's the video she took from the bottom. And then then we found out it was 6 years old. I layered them up. Check this out.
Andrew, you are not the father.
So we busted her. Now, once we busted her, she just claims that people hacked her account, but we have evidence that she sent this sonogram to us showing proof of pregnancy. Now, why is this so interesting? Because, guys, I'm just here to tell you, this is a case we've been following that will, get in on this before it's in the documentary stage, because I'm still getting threatened. She's still planning on suing people like me for emotional distress. After the court case, she lost a bunch of weight and she's claiming it's because of what we've done. But as you see, all we've done is provided evidence. Here's Clayton. He was in court by himself. You guys, our audience, raised money to get him a lawyer so that he could properly defend himself from all these accusations.
I went public and stated I signed up for a prenatal paternity test. Now she needs to schedule her part. I then placed that upon her to schedule her portion. And then as people knew that she had to schedule it, she then scheduled. But the test came back, little to no fetal DNA present, which would track with her not actually being 5 months pregnant with twins, because if she had twins, then there would be fetal DNA present.
So the question is, why? So she claimed multiple times that she was pregnant with twins, and every time she lost the pregnancy. Well, guess what happened this time? She met somebody who was ready to call her out. And so we called her out. We did the unthinkable. We said, we think she's going to fake a miscarriage, or she's going to fake moving to another country and sending these babies off. So Clayton Echard, with the money we raised, got his attorney to file a putative registry, which means he was going to file as the father. So he goes to court, files as the father of these fake babies. That way she can't just claim she gave them up to adoption. Every step of the way, as she claimed she was pregnant, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, time's a ticking. We said, when is she gonna give this up? She even went so far as to send this video of her father, who's on his hospital bed, sick with Parkinson's disease, showing that she was pregnant right here. The only problem is, this isn't Laura. This is her older sister, which we were able to find out because she sent a version of this through mobile, which she didn't know included the fact that this wasn't her face. This is so obviously her sister. So she was able to use her basically dying father as a pawn in her scheme to pretend she was pregnant. We did mole research. We figured out this wasn't her, right? That's not all she did. We were able to discover our audience. And again, you might be going, Dave, what the hell is this case? You're new to my channel. I'm here to tell you we are bad mother effers in this community, and we don't get fucked with. We don't get fucked with. So we were able to discover this. She's threatening to sue me to oblivion. She's her lawyer's harassing me while my wife is actually 8.5 months pregnant. On the day we were having our baby shower, she has her lawyer send me a threatening letter. And she also sends me this early on. She sends me this HCG test, which shows that she was at 132,000 level HCG, which would have lined up with twins at 5 or 6 months pregnant. Only come to find out when she was subpoenaed for her actual evidence, she only had an HCG of 102, which is like taking a shot of a fertility drug or a diet pill. It's absolutely nothing, especially if you're 5 or 6 months pregnant. So she had finally admitted to lying about this, but she said she lied because she was just trying to get me off of her back. Well, sorry, you can't get me off of your back. The last thing we found, so she just had her restraining order renewed. This is the restraining order right here. She just got this renewed in January against Greg Gillespie. We called him victim number 2. Turns out he was probably the 3rd or 4th victim, but either way, he's done nothing wrong other than hook up with her, have like a one-night stand with her, and she claims she was pregnant. But what's interesting about that is she used this ultrasound, which we were able to find out through reverse Google searching belonged to this lady from Texas. But not only were we able to find it out, she clearly faked her name up front here. The gestational age was 5 weeks, 0 days. She did all of this, but here's what we find out, folks. Buckle up. We zoom in on this, and what do we see when we zoom in? A Fiverr logo. She used Fiverr or some sort of timestamp removal company to remove this logo. And if you look closely enough, that is a Fiverr logo. The company that you hire to do photoshopping and whatnot. Clear as day. We discover this and call her out. What's her defense? Oh, that's not mine. But guess what? We have video evidence of her sending this in live time to Greg Gillespie, the victim here, and we have audio of her talking about this and referencing it as she sends it to him. So guess what, Laura? You want to fuck with me? This is the type of shit that goes into the courtroom, okay? So this is all the information we have on her, which is why I actually haven't been sued for defamation. She also used this ultrasound to claim it was hers, which actually was her sister. Her sister gave birth in May of 2023, so she used this ultrasound to say it was hers. Why would she redact the first name and not the last name? Well, it's obviously her sister's ultrasound. And by the way, she claims this was hers, but the gestational age would have been 21 weeks, which is past the amount of time if you have a miscarriage, then you have to get a fetal death certificate after 20 weeks. So when I say we caught her in every sort of way, how come the FBI searched me? What did I do that was so wrong other than fight for victims here? She also claimed that she was the victim of domestic violence. She used one of these images to claim domestic violence, and she used the other to claim she was getting an abortion with that guy that she later claims was DV. This is a case of someone dumps you so you change as a person, including the fact that when I interviewed Clayton Echard, he said the same thing. He got 2 blowjobs from her. That's all they did. All of a sudden, a couple days, the next day, he's like, hey, I'm your real estate agent. We shouldn't do that. What does she do to repay him? Claims he knocked her up, gets the board to review him as a real estate agent. She emails people. In fact, I got an email from a journalist who claimed to be a black college student who later we find out was her pretending to be a black college student. In fact, there's so much to this story I can't get into. She faked ovarian cancer. She faked a Jewish agent. She faked an Asian doctor, and she faked a black journalist. And she is a Catholic, I think a practicing Catholic who comes from Jewish heritage, who claimed anti-Semitism, and I mean, literally everything in the book. Everything in the book. So if you're still listening, I need you to follow this story, and I need you to be a part of the community that finds justice for Clayton, and to be quite honest, justice for myself as well. So go to Justice for Clayton on Reddit, join this community because there's still information coming out. She is still coming after her victims, one of which is a guy named Mike Maricini, who just announced he's having another baby. He was the initial victim. She's had a restraining order on him for what, 8 years? She's tormented him. They met on a dating app in 2016. She claimed twins with him. She later admitted that she faked the pregnancy test, although she denies that now. She says he emotionally and physically abused her. And she's also put him under a restraining order that he still is under. She's getting him fired from his jobs. She made a TEDx talk about him, claiming him of DV, and she still has restraining orders. So all these 3 men, plus another guy named Matt who doesn't want to come forward, have all been victims of frivolous claims of pregnancies and miscarriages and abuse. And she said she was afraid for her unborn children, that Clayton was going to attack her. This is a guy, these guys have lost millions because they're not able to get normal jobs they would have at this part of their career. So I actually had this was us on June 10th. We literally went to the courthouse to follow this trial. And here's Laura Owens and her mom getting a police escort after they called the police on one of her victims who was there to testify. So it's absolutely ridiculous. There they are. Their lawyers attacked me. She's claimed she's lost all this weight because we've been, lying about her online. In fact, don't take my word for it. Here's the Scottsdale police after she threatened to kill herself over our coverage.
They haven't stopped, and so she thought that.
And by the way, this is her mom who's trying to defend her.
It needs to go to some kind of a cyber crimes unit, and she had said in there that the harassment.
I can say it. I had told the guy specifically that creating these daily videos about me had made me feel borderline suicidal.
That's me. So she said that by me creating videos about her, she felt borderline suicidal. How about the guys that you put through hell? How do you think they felt?
I was last month, I messaged him and he continued to make videos about me, but I'm fine.
He's made this guy has made 40.
He's made 50. It's 50.
Guess what? I've made 150 at this point. So they were upset that I made 50 videos about them because they couldn't silence me because I wasn't, she tried to get a restraining order against me, folks. It was denied by First Amendment rights. And to be quite honest, until June 10th of 2024, I never even said her name. We called her Jane Doe. I never said her name or showed her face because I wanted to be fair and I didn't want what she's now doing to be used against me.
It's
insane.
So somebody at the FBI actually saw your complaint today.
And by the way, Colin, I appreciate you, says, believe all women, laugh, laugh, laugh. Well, the truth is the saying was always believe women, which I still stand by. I think we should believe women and men. I think we should believe people when they tell us something. What happens after that is we wait for evidence to corroborate someone's claims. So with Blake Lively, with the initial harassment claims, it's all right, that's okay. You can believe her. Don't throw Justin Baldoni out. Just believe her. And then when no evidence comes in, then you can change your opinion. But the idea of believe all women was sort of part of the culture war that was created to say, it became very black and white. And it doesn't have to be black and white, Colin. We can live in a world where we believe victims. And then if they, end up not being able to provide evidence, then what can you do? So, of course, people believed Laura for about a day or two, and then the truth came out, and then people changed their mind.
And saw that where it's these videos make you borderline suicidal, and they're
right.
They were oh, we better call Scottsdale and make sure you're not actually going to hurt yourself.
Right, no.
And you're not.
No, I'm not.
You don't need any assistance?
No, I'm good.
So she claims she's suicidal when it comes to psychologically, it's I don't know what you would want to call it. What is it called when someone pretends to be suicidal to get you? Is it psychological manipulation? I mean, you could argue that she's abusing me at this point because she wanted to keep us from sharing the truth. Every step of the way, as we started to discover this story, she tried so many tactics to silence us. Multiple threats of lawsuits. Like I said, calling the FBI. What did she think was going to happen? And rather than cower and back down, like a lot of people did that were covering this, no offense to our friends that cover it, I'm talking about the people that knew the truth. There was plenty of people that have huge platforms that knew the truth and they didn't cover it. And it's probably because it wasn't a big enough deal to them. But our community, we are justice oriented. We want justice to come out. So this was what? When did this come out? This was December of 2023. So we covered this for another 6 months until the trial, and we got so far as getting the county prosecutor to investigate this. Now, the county prosecutor hasn't charged her with any crimes yet, but they haven't dropped it either.
Yeah, unless you can get the guy to stop. But I mean, it's been horrific. Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like somebody at the FBI got your complaint, so hopefully
they do something. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Susan says, did she ever birth a baby? No. So what happened? Good question, because I've covered this for so long, sometimes I forget. She ended up claiming miscarriage, but changed the dates of the miscarriage. And when the trial happened, and maybe we have some of this, when the trial happened, she changed the location that she went that she went to go get Plan B or an abortion or something. She changed the location, and that location turns out, she said she went from Mission Viejo, Planned Parenthood, and then she changed it on the witness stand to say Los Angeles Planned Parenthood. And as it turns out, the date she gave, June 2nd or whatever date it was a Sunday, and it was closed. So she's lied multiple times. Here's her attorney.
That first night with Clayton, you never said to him, let's do it all night long or anything like that.
No.
I'm going to be on a boat and I may not have the ability to respond. And you had a sonogram done. Did you ever present that sonogram as evidence in any court proceeding anywhere?
No.
Which is a huge lie. She presented a fake sonogram in a court hearing.
Have obviously presented it in this case. But whether she lied to an ex-boyfriend.
All right, so let's see what other info we have here. Victims of lore: Clayton Echard, 2 blowjobs, fake paternity lawsuit. Greg Gillespie, 1 date, 1 hookup, fake abortion lawsuit. Andrew, we don't know that guy. Mike Maricini, casually dated, fake DV lawsuit. Matt, casually dated, first fake pregnancy claims. And she has said under oath that she did doctor that one document. She admitted to this under oath. She just says she did it because she was trying to get me off of her back, which, by the way, when she faked this and sent this to me was when I was still uncovering details. It was before I had any real evidence against her. So anyhow, this Instagram account and the Twitter account are so fantastic. He had to do this all by himself. So it was this day where we were able to listen to the live stream of this that we realized we needed to raise money for him. As it turns out, we raised money for Clayton Echard to get the same lawyer that represented the previous victim, who, by the way, check this out, she accused the previous lawyer of conspiring to R-word her. And that lawyer ended up dropping the case because it was so bananas. He was like, I don't want to deal with this, even though he had never met her before. So she tried to privately email the judge, which is super not illegal, but you're not allowed to do that. And the judge shared that information publicly that, hey, she's made these terrible claims against you. So this is all from the June 10th date where we were reporting live. This is her miscarriage story.
Wasn't having any symptoms at all, but I did pass tissue. It looked like it could potentially be miscarriage tissue, but I wasn't sure. I texted a hotline for pregnancy and miscarriage questions, and I also did an appointment with the...
Let me ask you this, audience, because this is very Amber Heardy. Imagine this. You have a miscarriage. I know. It's tough to talk about. I'm sorry. I should have put a trigger warning up. And your first thing to do is text a telehealth. So she says she got an appointment. She made several appointments to see a doctor, but she never went to the doctor.
Telemedicine doctor. They told me that I needed to monitor myself, but that they felt like unless I had more symptoms, I didn't need to worry that it was a miscarriage. I wasn't having any symptoms at all, but I did.
Wild stuff. I'm just checking. Want to say 12. I'm setting up on my live stream right now. I got to go live after this with my to get an interview. So they interviewed former Planned Parenthood directors to say that you cannot get an anonymous ultrasound. She claims she got her ultrasound anonymously.
Planned Parenthood has not been able to verify that you were ever seen there. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes, I went under a fake name when I went there.
Laura claimed it was anonymous and from Planned Parenthood. Any thoughts about that?
Patients cannot be seen anonymously at Planned Parenthood. PPFA, which is our national guidelines, require identification.
So it says you need an identification. So again, she lied out of her ass on all accounts. Here she is saying she hopes the FBI goes after me.
Really hope, hey, maybe they'll go to this guy's house. Well, yeah, because really hope, hey, maybe they'll go to this guy's house. Well, yeah.
I know it's hard. She's like, I hope you guys go find him at his house then, or something like that. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. She also sent in a submission to be on The Bachelor. And what else do we have here? We already got that one. Here are the men giving a statement the night before the trial.
Everybody wants to know what I would do.
Oh, that's just the audio. No revenge. Just the guys moving on with their lives. Audio, Laura. Oh, so here's where she admitted to sending the ultrasound. She later denies. I mean, the amount of evidence is so crystal clear.
I'm serious that I would do a paternity test at 8 weeks. I'm not kidding you. I don't deserve this. I deserve you to keep your...
So wait, why didn't you answer the question about the photo online?
I did. What did you want me to say?
Why is it your photo? Why?
So she claims this isn't her photo, which we found out was a Fiverr logo. They never knew there was a Fiverr logo on it.
Not. You don't, wait, didn't you find it peculiar how similar it looks?
No, I don't find anything peculiar with an ultrasound photo. They all look the same.
They do?
All ultrasounds look virtually the same. I don't find anything weird with that.
So, by the way, when you go into that octave, all ultrasounds look the same. There's not... By the way, this is her face when she was kind of being exposed in one of the trials.
You have experience in this?
Jason says she booked appointments with OBs but canceled them. Never examined by a doctor when she had a high-risk pregnancy with twins. So she was exposed actually by Greg Gillespie's partner, who I believe are they pregnant? They're pregnant with their second twin. No, they're not pregnant. Mike's pregnant. Sorry, I'm not. They're not. Wait, are they? No. This was their first baby that they had. They had a baby a little bit before we had ours. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not pregnant. Mike is. I don't have any secret information. So justice for them. So she, his girl Ashley, was the one to link up what happened to him to what happened to Clayton. Because Clayton is kind of like famous, right? He was on The Bachelor. So because this story went public, people were able to find out who the anonymous person was. In the story, they called her a 33-year-old podcast host from Scottsdale, Arizona. Well, just because of that, they were able to link up who it actually was. Now, Laura Owens is the daughter of a formerly kind of famous radio DJ in San Francisco called Ron Owens. Someone in the chat might know of him. He was making over $1 million a year. Well, Ron Owens just had a GoFundMe that they created, and it raised $114,000 because he's sick. And that money, who knows where it's going to. So he's never really spoken publicly about his daughter, but he has shared privately with past victims that his daughter has a tendency of doing this. So again, these are, in my belief, my opinion, massively psychological issues that I could not even imagine someone doing. This isn't a part of the friendly world I live in. So here's, this is her on the right claiming to be pregnant. And, it's just like, again, she never tested above 102 level on HCG. So either way, it's just fantastic. I wish I had the video of the Fiverr logo. Here's an update on the criminal investigation.
Are you able to provide an update as to where you're at in that process and potentially a time frame as to when a decision could be made?
I know, in fact, I was talking to one of the investigators working on it this morning about an update, and I know they're going through it quickly. They've talked to a number of people, and as you can imagine, it's gathering information from a number of different sources, medical, courts, etc. So they're gathering information. Now, I have a source at the Attorney General who said it's not whether they're going to charge her, it's when they're going to charge her. I don't know if that's going to hold up. This was before the election. It could be that Rachel Mitchell decides to drop the case, which, by the way, if Rachel Mitchell decided to drop the case, I need her to know that we do not support that, and we think there's plenty of evidence to charge her for lots of different crimes. So if she doesn't pursue this, we are gonna probably never let her forget that, as far as whatever political offices she tries to run for in the future. We're just, so here's another time that the cops showed up to do a wellness check.
My daughter became pregnant by the guy who was the bachelor last year, and she became pregnant by him in May. You're not really pregnant, or if you are pregnant, it's not mine. And once he found out, that she was pregnant by the Bachelor guy. Said she had.
Does anyone know where the video is from us finding the Fiverr logo? I mean, that might be, let's just see. It might be on, let me just search Dave Neal, Megan Fox Fiverr logo. We might have a separate video of it. Oh, here it is. This is it, folks. So we found this.
You clearly faked it.
What are we seeing here? So this is it. So this is the moment we were live and we discovered the Fiverr logo. The reason why no one found this before is no one ever looked at this ultrasound on a desktop zoomed in. None of what I'm showing you right now is doctored. This is us live finding smoking gun evidence that she doctored an ultrasound. That ultrasound, by the way, is in part what got her this restraining order against Greg Gillespie several years ago, which she just had renewed last month. This evidence just came out yesterday. So they continue to approve these restraining orders that she's getting against these men. So here it is. Here's the moment we figured it out. Don't mind the music in the background. Here it comes. What are we seeing here? What's this? HEVN? Is this are you seeing this? I'm literally, I can't unsee it. What the hell is that?
Some babies, but there's some ladies from a block. I'm not some slob. I'm on the job.
It says Fiverr.
Oh no! Oh, hold on. So then what I did was I downloaded a transparent version of the Fiverr logo to lay it over to prove that that's what it said. Hold on. This is why you do it live. So I grabbed the Fiverr logo. I found a transparent version. I threw it. We did this all on a live stream, folks. Just like you guys are live with me right now. And I dragged it over the Photoshop, which you're about to see. Look at this. Watch this.
That's it. That's what it is. That's it. That's what it is. That's it. That's what it is.
I mean. So right there. Okay, so right there, that's the ultrasound. What? And then that's the logo on top of it. Unbelievable. So that's the type of content you can expect from us. That's it, folks. All right, I have to get going. Again, any breaking news, there may be, listen, funky stuff happens on Friday afternoons, folks. It's the Friday afternoon funk. And we may get breaking news in the Blake Lively case. She did say, I think through her lawyer, that they expect to have claims this week. Well, the week's ending. It's Friday. I got shit to do. So whether or not that happens, we will break it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I do want to just thank you guys again. And by the way, we do have my free Discord, which people talked about. We have our Facebook community, Dave Neal's community on Facebook. And if you want, you can join the Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm going to be live with Patreon right after this, and we're going to do an interview and get ready for all of the other content we have for the day. So I want to thank everyone for the unbelievable amount of love we've received. We had 82,000 subscribers, 2 weeks ago? And now we are going to hit 100. We might hit 110,000 today. So if you're in the chat, 2,200 of you, and if there's 361 people that haven't subscribed, let's get up to 10,000 today. Let's get up to 110,000 today. I might go live tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens this weekend. I might have to fly to Southern California this weekend. We'll have to see. So I might be busy. But if I do have to fly out of town, I bring my equipment with me. We will be giving updates from the hotel. Thank you guys all so much for the super chats. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, we have a decent amount that I got most of them. Chris says, I still can't get past Laura stealing the ultrasound of someone's vanishing twin syndrome and stealing her story too. It's pure evil. And what's the way that we handled that evil, folks? We raised money for the victim there so that her surviving son could have a nice birthday party. And that just shows how great you guys are. Mr. with €5 says, oh, thank you so much for that. And Yeah, I think that's all of our super chats. So thank you guys all so much for the super chats. I appreciate you. I'll hang out with you for another minute or two while we figure things out. And then, yeah, I'm going to be going over to Patreon right now. Shada says Laura Owen seems to be from a rich family, so she will probably never be punished by the justice system for her criminal actions. Well, I understand that in the past they didn't get published, but they understand that folks like me, let's put it this way. The more of you guys that stick by this story, the more of you guys that go to the subreddit, the Twitter, the Instagram, and follow, the more pressure the county prosecutor has to do the right thing. We wouldn't want to pressure her to do the wrong thing. We're saying charge her. And, she can defend herself in court if she has a good excuse for doing all of this. But we think we've got a strong case. I mean, we showed you all of the evidence. And if the county prosecutors can put together all of what they have to charge her, put an end to this. I'm not kidding when I say she has messed up so many lives. You have men that can't keep a job. They should be in high-powered tech jobs, and these guys can't even fly through TSA because they all have restraining orders against them. She'd have 4. She'd have one against me if she could get one. So yeah, get me to 110K. I will have updates this weekend if anything comes in. Julianne says, when is this supposedly smoking gun from her coming out? Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I appreciate all the new subscribers here. We'll have to see if we can get to it some more over there. So again, I wanted to cover the Blake Lively story. I wanted to be fair with it. And I also wanted to cover, of course, the Bachelor Clayton story. So I've got a whole playlist. You can go check out all of those videos. Hey, 10 Canadian bucks from Dragonfly. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Again, much love to our friends in Sweden, India, everywhere else. I'm not going to dwell on the people that don't get what we do. There's a lot of you guys that really appreciate all of this, and I thank you. And just remember, you get to vote with your like button, Thanks to you guys providing so much interest in my coverage of Blake Lively. I'll continue to cover it. Like begets like. It's the law of attraction. So the more eyeballs that are interested in it, the more videos I get to make. Appreciate you guys. That's going to do it for me. Again, our good pal Bruce and all the other great moderators here just shared the link, linktree.com/Dave Neal. That has Discord, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the chat rooms. And by the way, we do have a chat room on Patreon that is discussing Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively. This is where we go to get all of the community, chats updated. So here we have it right here. This is patreon.com/Dave Neal. I got the Clayton chat, Justin versus Blake, a general chat. We also do reality TV. So you can see all of the updates here. And by the way, this is a great community because it's $5 a month. So because of that, you don't get any a-holes. You just get good people that are there. And I appreciate that support. It really helps with independent journalism to know that people are out there kind of doing that thing. So Jeremy with $2, thank you so much. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm going live on Patreon right now. We'll see you then. Bye.